got a few minutes? I have 5 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I need.
Awesome. What do you
I
need?
want to talk about cloud computing.
Oh, you're into buzzword marketing today?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we've talked about it a bit on our blog.
Yes, you have.
Pam has had a couple posts. We've had a couple great comments to it. So I wanted to talk about it from our standpoint when it comes to testing. And the fact that, you already kind of said there's a lot of hype around it.
Yes.
And one thing that we heard about when we were interviewing a lot of people was the fact that people aren't even asking the service providers who are providing the cloud how they're testing, what they're doing. So, I mean, from your standpoint, are they doing the right things? Are they doing... what are they doing when it comes to testing the actual infrastructure?
Getting a lot of press? No, they aren't. I mean, it's really an experiment. The testing, it grew out of an experiment. You got Amazon, you got Google doing their work, and there's actually a few others. It most likely grew out of software as a service in that model. There's Surgeons in town here in Austin, and they do software as a service, which is providing mail for other people and hosting other people, and not have to worry about it, including database apps and CRM apps and all that jazz. And so that's one aspect of it. Another aspect, of course, is just computing time, which is all IBM, which is awesome. Here in Austin, they do that as well. Most of it, though, I think the problem that I see with the cloud computing stuff is no one's testing to see how many people can actually get to it, how often they can get to it, the reliability of it. There's
so
definitely issues of it.
We talk a lot about, obviously, performance and application realism.
Right.
How important are those two things when it comes to the cloud?
Availability, too. Don't forget, application availability. Since a lot of people are on BlackBerry devices or me, remote in a hotel with a laptop, a lot of times I can't get to those devices. I went to Amazon's website. We actually play with some of the cloud computing stuff here, and I couldn't actually get there because it kept saying that I was a security threat because I was going to multiple IP addresses for the same servers, kept switching me over. And so there's a good example of, hey, that hotel didn't allow me to do that. Why not? Well, because no one tested it from the hotel to see what happens when that works. So.
Okay. Well, so you bring up, I was going to bring this up later, but you bring up the security aspect. So we were just at RSA conference, and one of the big keynotes, John Chambers at Cisco, and there was some news that came out there about the new Cloud Computing Security Alliance. And there's a few alliances that are out there, but the security one kind of caught my eye because we obviously deal a lot with security. And I'm wondering how much that's being talked about, and is that one of the more important things that people should go after today when it comes to the cloud? Because there's a worry that if you don't get the security right, people are going to walk away from this.
Oh, absolutely. The security is probably a big part of it. I worry about the performance of it also. For example, so let's talk about the negatives of cloud, and we'll go into positive. The negatives is, if someone cuts your internet link goes down in your building, and everything's cloud, you can't talk to your payroll system, you can't talk to Salesforce, you can't talk to, it depends on your Salesforce application. I mean, use Salesforce.com, which is cloud by itself. So, but you can't use those services, so you're out of luck. Your whole business is shut down. So there's one negative to it. You should have dual links and all that jazz. But the positives is like Salesforce.com is awesome. We use it. I've used it every company. That's phenomenal. That's a great example of my whole Salesforce is dispersion to go there. I don't have to worry about resources. I add people. I don't have to worry about more servers, and I just pay for license seats. I even think mail is a great idea. I mean, we do our mail locally, but really should do it remote. I mean, what does it matter? Really, but it gets down to its availability, though. I got to make sure all these people can get there. And how do I know that? I mean, I know Salesforce.com is a big company, but how do I know that I'm using somebody else's cloud computing? They have enough resources behind it. How long will it take them to have the servers? What happens when it gets really popular? Will everybody slow down? How do I get guaranteed quality service? Is it going to be like Time Warner and going to have tiered pricing then suddenly? Suddenly I put all my stuff out there on the net. I put it there. It's all working, and now I'm going to get different pricing models or not availability on it.
Okay, so is it really, when it comes to testing, going back to kind of that whole realm, and we talk about this all the time when it comes to testing network equipment and servers, is it really any different for the cloud when it comes to actually testing the infrastructure? They got to be doing all the same things.
Worse. I think it's worse.
Okay.
I think it's harder. Yes, you have to do everything that we do. You have to test all your routers, you have to test all your switches, all your load balancers, all your firewalls, but then you have to test everybody else's. So normally in my network, I'd have to test if I install the Juniper firewall and Extreme Switch and Cisco load balancer and ACE, then okay, I just tested them, they all work, they make my application work, they do all the fix-ups correctly. Now I have to test everybody's in the world's infrastructure because they're going to be going through everything. Every laptop imaginable, everything. And so how do you test that? You have to test every paradigm of it, and that's really hard. And now when you get cloud, you start to think that, well, maybe the standardized software run isn't really that important because everything gets to the cloud. It doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Okay. And it gets worse. And what about the vulnerability? How do you know they're patching as quickly as you want to patch? Right. What if they don't feel that the PDF vulnerability that came out the other day that Dino talked about, 75K, got sold in the black market before. Why? What happens if they don't feel that's important? Like Adobe didn't feel that's important. But you run your business on PDF, and that's really important to you. How do you make the provider do that? Now, it's okay if that platform is hosted for you, but then how different is it from data center hosting?
Right.
But if someone's running that application for you or taking care of it, how do you do it?
Okay, so to wrap up and kind of bring it back to what we're providing different folks, what are ways that people today, with the solutions that are out there for testing, could actually help solve some of these problems, or at least meet these challenges a bit, so that they're testing the infrastructure, so they understand that the cloud is going to perform at a certain level under certain applications or services, etc. Like, what would be your top tip of suggestions, if you will, for these people?
Run as many apps as humanly possible in every different version you could, and fuzz the heck out of them, because you never know what the client's going to send. Bad cell phone reception sent a bad packet. Mm-hmm. What happens with the application when you do that? But really, run as many apps as you can, because it's not going to be just HCP. If anybody thinks the cloud is HCP, they just fool themselves. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's going to be IMAP, it's going to be database protocols, it's going to be everything. Everything's going to wind up going over it if it does. Another big thing I would say, other than just that, is you have to test how many sessions it can handle. Sorry. You have to test that. You have to make sure that it can run the load you're going to do, and it's going to run them quickly, and it's not going to affect the performance of the application. The latency is okay. And again, fuzzing is probably, I wouldn't just call it fuzzing, but security, just making sure that every possible bit is checked. Mm-hmm. You've run through everything, right? That every permutation of a packet that could come at you is tested against it.
And so far, it seems like a lot of the alliances that are out there and that hasn't seemed to be in any of the manifestos, if you will, of those.
No, the manifestos are all marketing dribble right now. No offense, but they all are, and they're not. There's not a lot of details behind them. And let's look at it right now. There's, other than Surgeon, who's probably been in it a long time, good guys to talk to too about that stuff. Google and Amazon are kind of keeping it to themselves. They're not like they're out there going, yeah, we want your input. I don't think they do.
Right. Well, hopefully this video will serve as some input for them.
Yeah, you go.
Excellent.
Test your sessions.
Thank you for the time.
Sure, I got to go to a meeting.